Today we're going to start our last chapter in Excel. We have been hired by Caitlin's Ice Cream Shop. Caitlin's Ice Cream Shop operates kiosks at colleges and universities and serves both hard and soft serve ice cream. Each December and June, the Chief Executive Officer projects monthly sales revenue, cost of goods sold, gross margin, expenses, and operating income for the upcoming 6-month period based on figures from the previous 6 months. The CEO wants an easy-to-read worksheet that shows financial projections for the upcoming 6 months to use for procuring partial financing and for determining staffing needs. The worksheet should allow for quick analysis if projections for certain numbers change, such as the percentage of expenses allocated to commission or the cost of the kiosk rentals. In addition, you need to create a column chart that shows the breakdown of expenses for each month in the period. So the first thing you need to do is type your title and subtitle. Go to cell A1 and we're going to type in Caitlin's Ice Cream Shop. Enter, and our subtitle will be 6-month financial projection. And we want to apply the Save On theme to the workbook. Click in cell B3 and type the word January. The next thing we're going to do is rotate our text in the cell. We want to do this because rotating text is one method of making column headings visually distinct. So with January selected, go to the Home tab. We want alignment, the alignment button. And over here you can see your text in degrees. Right now it's at 0 degrees and we want it to be 60 degrees. So you can drag it, you can write it, whatever works best for you. And then OK. And then we want to drag that all the way over to G3. When you let go, it should fill in the months to June for you. Go ahead and click your button, and we want to pick autofill options. Make sure that fill series is selected. Then we want to click onto H3. We're going to type in total. We're going to tab over and we're going to type chart. In the last chapter, we increased column widths after the values were entered into the worksheet. Sometimes you may want to increase the column widths before you enter values, and if necessary, adjust them later. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. Move your pointer between column A and column B, and we are going to drag until the width is 38. Click column heading B to select the column and then drag through to column G. And then place your pointer between B and C and drag until 14.5. Now increase the width of column H to 18. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to enter some titles in column A. Click in cell A4 and we're going to type in revenue, enter cost of goods sold, enter enter again, go back up to A6, and we're going to type in gross margin. Enter twice to A8, expenses, bonus, commission, site rental, marketing, equipment repair and maintenance, total expenses, and then go down to 16 and write operating income. Okay, so the following steps I'm about to show you will indent several of the row titles to create a visual hierarchy. So it will be more like an outline or a table of contents. So the first one we're going to do is cost of goods sold. And you'll go up to the indent button, increase indent. And then we're going to go ahead and do that for A9 through A13. Now I need you to go to cell A18, and we're going to type in what if assumptions. Go ahead and select range A9 through A13. Copy. Go down to A19 and paste. So we just copied and pasted to save us some time, but we need to insert 2 more rows for our what if assumptions. So select A20. If you right click, you can insert and a row will appear. So in our new A20, we want sales revenue for bonus. And then go ahead and click on A19 and do the same. Insert row. And then our new row will be margin. Let's make sure we indent margin. I'm going to go ahead and type in our projected monthly sales. So if you want to pause my screen, go for it. After I have my January through June totals, I want to do the auto sum to come up with the final total. Do not write my number or you'll not get your points. I need to see that you have entered the formula. The next thing we're going to do is create a date stamp for your document. What this does is we enter a formula so that whenever you send it to, say, a CEO or a manager, they will see the date stamp of when this document was created with these totals. So what you want to do is you want to select H1. And we're going to enter a formula. So go to your FX Insert Function button. Our category will be date and time. And we're going to choose the now. And you press OK. Press OK. And the date and time show up of when this document was created. You can format it to look differently. What you would do is you would right click and then you would right click and format cells. And then you come up here to the date and you can pick how you would like it to look. I'm going to pick this option right here. I'm going to press OK, and then now we've created a date stamp. So if you've noticed that over the last few chapters, whenever we copy and paste or we drag, it always changes. So if this was D9 and then we dragged it over, it would keep it as E9, F9, G9, H9. Well, whenever you're making formulas and you're dragging and you don't want the cell to change, then you have to use an absolute cell reference. And what an absolute cell reference does is it puts a dollar sign next to the cell that you do not want to change. And I know that sounds confusing, so let's do an example for you so you can understand it better. So let's take cost of goods sold, for example. Let's enter a formula, so equals, and it's going to be equal to your revenue times, open parentheses, 1 minus your margin. Now, margin, I do not want the margin to change when I copy this formula. I always want the margin to stay B19. I don't want it to change to C19, D19. I want it to stay B19. So what I do is I select F4, and do you see how it put dollar signs before my B and my 19? That means it's now an absolute cell. So I'm going to close out my parentheses and I'm going to press enter. Now when I drag it across, it will always be B19 as it drags. Okay, let's enter our gross margin formula, and that's going to be equal to your revenue minus your cost of goods sold. Okay, let's go ahead and put our numbers in here. I forgot to do that, so these will change once we enter our numbers. Our margin will be 78.75%. Our bonus will be $3,500. Our sales revenue for bonus will be $65,000. Our commission, 25%. Our site rental will be 10%. Our marketing will be 5%. And our equipment repair and maintenance will be 3.5%. And then that will change your numbers to what they need to be. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is the if function. And it can be a little confusing, but try to keep it simple. It is what it says, if. So what you're saying is you're going to enter a formula, and you're saying if this number is X, then the answer will be this number. If this number is Y, then the answer will be this number. I know that sounds confusing, so let's do an example to make it better understanding. Okay, so why use the if function? Use the if function to determine the value for a cell based on a logical test. So click B9, and right now we are going to determine if the company gets a bonus. So we want to enter a formula to determine if the company gets a bonus for that month. So we first want to do is enter our if formula. Okay, what's our logical test? What are we trying to figure out? We get a bonus if our revenue is a certain price. So let's go ahead and type in our logical test. If our revenue, B4, is greater than or equal to, and that's how you write it, if our revenue is greater than or equal to B21, and we want to make that an absolute cell. So I'm going to press F4 to make sure the money sign goes before B and 21. So if our revenue is greater than or equal to our sales revenue for bonus, which is $65,000, then we will get our bonus. If not, then we get $0. Okay, so just say that to yourself in your head. If our revenue is greater than or equal to our sales revenue for bonus, then we get our bonus. If not, then we get $0 for our bonus. Okay, so when you're done, you click OK. And obviously for the month of January, we did not get it, so we get 0 in our bonus section. Okay, so far we've got 4 of our formulas written, so let's just keep going. So commission equals our revenue times our commission, which is 25%. And again, we want this to always be in column B, so I'm going to press my F4, and I'm going to go down. That way, when I drag it over, see, it stayed with this column. It didn't try to go over to this column. I hope that makes sense to you. Okay, site rental equals our revenue times our site rental percentage. Again, F4 to make that absolute. Marketing equals our revenue times our marketing percentage. F4, enter. Equipment repair and maintenance equals our revenue times our percentage for repair and maintenance. F4 to make it absolute, and press enter. Okay, so total expenses. This one should be easy. You use the sum function, and it should come up right to include bonus, commission, site rental, marketing, and repair and maintenance. Press equal. And then last but not least, our operating income, which equals B6, which is our gross margin, minus B14, which is our total expenses. Okay, we want to copy this section all the way down to June. So let's go ahead and highlight it, and then let's drag it to June. And it all should have stayed the same for taking these percentages. As you can see, our absolute stayed the same throughout our copying. Now we need to determine the totals in column H. As you see, we have some spaces, so we don't want to drag down the total formula. So what we can do is we can select what we need while holding our control key. So if you want to select H5 and H6, hold your control key, and now H9 through H14, and then H16. Now we can let go of our control key. I'm going to hit auto sum, and it filled it in for us. And now all of our totals are in for our sheet. So our next column is I, which we have chart, and we are going to insert a sparkline chart. A line sparkline chart is a good choice because it shows trends over the 6-month period for each row of data. So let's start with I4. Go to Insert tab, and you'll see the sparkline area right here. And we're going to choose line. Okay, now it asks for the data range. And for the data range, we want B4 through G4. So January through June. And I'm going to press OK. And it added a chart for us. And you can see January started out low, it went up, dipped down a little bit more. Just like everything else, you can change the style you'd like. So let's see if you hit more. There's some different options. Let's go ahead and choose the second row, fourth one. And let's drag down to I-16. Okay, looking at the bonus row, I see they were all zeros and they were not supposed to be. So we have a problem. We need to go fix it. Just going and looking through my formulas. Our B21 is absolute, but the B20 isn't. So as I go through, the B20 keeps changing and it's not supposed to. So let's go ahead. We need B20 to be absolute too. So highlight B20 and select F4. Enter, and then redrag that new formula. There we go. Because we should have had a bonus March, April, May, and June. Sorry about that. So back to our chart. If you decide you don't like the line chart, you can go and change it. I'll show you how to do that. Go ahead and select our charts. Go to Sparkline Tools Design. And right now we have it line, but let's say we want it to be column. So go ahead and click column. And then that changes the way it looks. You may like it better than the line, but our book wanted us to show you how to do both. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to format some of our numbers just to make it more user-friendly and easier to read. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to select B4 through H4. And then hold down your control key and select B6 through H6, B9 through H9, B14 to H14, and B16 through H16. And you can let go of your control key and now go to your home tab, which we're in. And then under number, we're going to click our box. Okay, so let's change it to currency. And then let's make sure we have 2 decimal places. And then let's choose our third option for negative numbers and press OK. Okay, now let's select B5 through H5. Hold down your control key and then select this chunk right here. And we're going to do the same thing. Currency, 2 decimal places, but this time we don't want a symbol, so none. And choose your third option for negative numbers and press OK. Next, let's format our worksheet titles. So go ahead and click column A so that the whole column's selected. And we're going to bold our titles. And then let's increase the font size in A1 to 28. And in A2, let's go to 16. And then select A1 through I2. And we're going to do the fill color green accent 4. So let's go to our bucket, green accent 4. And let's change the font color to white. And then let's improve the appearance a little more. So select A3 through I3. And let's give it a heading 2 style. And then select A6 through H6. Hold down your control key and select A14 through H14 and A16 through H16. You can let go of your control key and let's give it a total style. And then select A4 and let's go ahead and do the background green and the font white. And our sheet's looking really good right now. So let's keep going. Make sure we are in A4. And let's use our format painter. We've used this before. So double click your format painter and click on A6. And then drag through A16 through H16. And that's all we want for our format painter, so you can click that off. And then let's apply the currency style to B16 through H16. Oops. Select currency. Let's choose the third option and press OK. Let's move down to our what if assumptions box and select A18. We're going to increase that font, decrease it to 8. And then let's italicize and underline it. Go ahead and select A19 through B25 and change that to size 8. And then let's go ahead and select the whole thing. And let's do the same background and same. So we are almost done with our worksheet. The last thing we want to do is we're going to insert a chart. This time we're going to insert a clustered column chart. Excel has a feature that evaluates your data and makes suggestions regarding which chart types would provide the most suitable representation. So let's go ahead and select the data that we want to use. Let's do A3 through G3. Hold down your control key and then do A9 through G13. And let go of your control tab. And then go to insert. And then we want to click on recommended charts. So this is the charts that Excel recommends you use. Let's go ahead and choose the first one that they offered and press OK. And a chart pops up for us. So let's go ahead and move our chart to a different sheet. So move chart, new sheet. Let's name that sheet expense chart. Press OK. And then just like before, we have our data on one sheet and our chart on another. Let's change our chart title. We are going to call it 6-month projected expenses. And then you can click outside. We want to, go ahead and underline that. Okay, next thing we want to do is we want to add data labels. Why? Because data labels can make a chart more easily understood. So go ahead and we're going to click the chart elements button. You click on your chart, this should pop up, chart elements. You pick what you want shown. So we want axes, chart title, grid lines, and legend. And then go ahead and click on the arrow for data labels, and we want them shown on the outside end. Okay. There's also chart filters. So again, if you click here, chart filters, let's say you're going through and you decide you don't want the bonus and the commission to show on your chart. So you can unclick those and press apply and then click out. Next thing we want to do is add an axis title. So we would like a title over here. You can do that again by adding the elements, the chart elements, axis titles. Click on your button. We want a primary vertical. So if you go over here, you have an axis title now. Go ahead and let's click on it to change it. Let's make it a $sign. And then right click it. We're going to format it. Make sure you're under title options. And then let's click this button, which is our size and properties. And then let's do our text direction. Let's make it horizontal. And then we can close that out. So now we should have a money sign over here for our title. Okay, we can change the chart style on this too. So if you click your chart, go to your design tab. Here you'll see different options for styles. Let's click on style 3. And then go ahead and click out. You can modify any of your numbers once you look at your chart and see you want to make changes. So let's say over here we notice that the 2 decimal places are not necessary, so we want to get rid of our decimal places. So if you just click on any one of those, go over here to our format chart area. Let's retry that. Right click, format axis. There we go. So axis options, make sure axis options is chosen. Go down here to number. Right now it's at 2 decimal places. We want a 0. And then you can click out. And then that took away those unnecessary decimal places. Okay, again, let's say you realize that the data labels are too distracting. You can always go back and take them out just by clicking off and then clicking out again. And then now I think it looks pretty good. Let's go down to our sheet tabs. So we've got our expense chart. Let's go ahead and make that green. And then let's rename sheet 1 to 6-month financial projection. And let's make that a different shade of green. And then I want to show you something. Let's say right now the chart's first. Let's say we want it last. You can always slide that over. And then that makes your data first and your chart second. Last thing you should always do is check your spelling. That's in your review. Yes, spell check complete. I'm good to go. And I am done. Good job on Excel. I know Excel is kind of hard, but it's important, I believe, for you for after you get out of high school. And go ahead and turn this in.